Now, do you guys know what I mean by two-dimensional versus three-dimensional? Okay, two-dimensional is just x and y. Three-dimensional is an x, y, and a z. All right, like I said yesterday, the hard part is sometimes coming up with that third x, y, z equation. Is this one two-dimensional or three-dimensional? Which one are we looking at right now?
Two-dimensional.
Two-dimensional, because they're only, very good, because they're only talking about 8% versus 10%. Kelly Fisher has a total of $30,000 invested in 2 municipal bonds, so that's only going to be 2 variables. And the final question is, how much does she have invested in each bond? So X is going to be dollars invested in, not say in, if I say dollars invested at 8%, will you guys know that I mean it's the money she put into the account that earns 8% interest?
Yes.
Okay, cool, excellent. And if I say Y is going to be dollars invested at 10%, it's the money she puts into the riskier account. Remember what I said before, higher interest rates means there's some element of risk involved. The 10% account isn't insured. The 10% account is in a savings and loan, and they're legally allowed to run out and bet it on a dog race. Okay, if someone's offering you a higher interest rate when they want your money, they'll pay you back at a higher interest rate. There is risk involved. That's a life lesson that doesn't directly have to do with this problem. Do you guys know what the magic number to just run away is?
100.
That would, yeah. If someone says, "Give me thousands of dollars and I will pay you back at 100% interest," run. Something criminal is going on. But 20% is usually, if someone promises you a 20% return on an investment, for every $100 you give them, they'll give you $120 back. Or they'll pay you 20% interest forever while they hold on to your chunk of money. 20% is the magic number. You're getting scammed. All right? They'll make the first 2 payments, but after that, they'll run off out of the country with the money. All right, so this one, the 2 equations, and remember we're just setting up. Well, what's the interest equation look like? You guys were getting good at those.
0.08x plus 0.1y equals 2,640.
Good. Good. Yes.
Thank you.
Equals $2,640. That's the interest equation. And then there's the total money invested equation. And this one is so simple it's sometimes hard to remember. But what's the dirt simple equation?
X plus Y equals 30,000?
Yep. X, the money you put in the 8% account, plus Y, the money you put in the 10% account, adds up to 30,000, the total amount of money you have to invest. And these are the equations which, over the next couple days, maybe early next week, we will start putting into our calculator in a matrix to get row-reduced form and get answers for these things. All right, any questions on this setup? Nope, that one's straightforward, only 2 dimensions. What happens here?
That's 3 dimensions.
It's 3 dimensions. It automatically got a little bit more complicated here. This time, the annual returns, okay, the annual returns are 21,600. What do returns mean? I don't think I went over that. Do you guys know what? Pardon? The money is given back. Yes. And like we talked about before, the money given back, very good, is the money that you get from the interest. Okay? You loan someone money, they pay you back with interest. That's what investing is. So they get this 21,000 from 6% on a savings account, 8% on a mutual fund, and 12% on bonds. So I think what's going to happen here is X is going to be money in savings. Y is going to be money in mutual funds. And Z is going to be dollars invested in bonds. You guys know the difference between stocks and bonds?
Captain America.
Bonds are the government.
Bonds are almost always the government. Corporations can also give bonds. I actually only found that out recently. Bonds are the government, though. James Bond is, there is no James Stocks, there is only James Bond.
There's definitely a James Stocks.
Now, when you buy stock in a company, you are a partial owner of that company. If you own stocks in a company, you are a partial owner of that company. If you buy a bond, you're not a part, you're still loaning, it's a way to loan money, and they have to pay you back, but you're not like a partial owner. That's why Justin governments can only do bonds.
That's true.
Maryland can't sell stocks because they can't have private citizens be partial owners of the state of Maryland.
Not with that attitude.
Not with that attitude. That would be weird. Okay, so there's an X and a Y and a Z, and what I've highlighted in yellow tells me that 6% of X plus 8% of Y plus 0.12, 12% of Z adds up to $21,600. So Sid just sits at home and earns $21,000 a year just for breathing air. How much money did he, all right, so what else do we know about this? Here's where this gets weird. The amount of Sid's investment in bonds was twice the amount of his investments in the savings account. How do we write that in math?
I'm assuming you're gonna tell us.
2x equals z.
2x equals z, that's what Justin says. So, if we write 2x equals z, this means, wait, so the money he invested in bonds is equal to double what he had invested in savings. Does that work?
Yeah.
All right, if we're going to put this in a matrix, would we be allowed to leave it this way?
No.
No, we'd have to move the z to the other side. The final equation would have to line up all the x's and z's. So you'd have to write something like 2x plus, do you see a y here? This is going a little beyond, like this is fine. This is 100% credit in the homework. But moving forward, when we get to putting this into a matrix, there's no y in this equation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to tell the calculator, guys, that there is no y. So you would have to have a 2x plus 0y. That's exactly right. Minus z equals 0. All right, stay with me here. Do you guys see how this these two equations? You guys see how these two equations represent what's highlighted in green?
Yes.
Okay. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Last equation we have to deal with. Interest earned from his investment in bonds was equal to the dividend he received from mutual funds. Dividends, interest, returns all mean the same thing. Returns, dividends, interest, that's all money you get back after you invest in something. All different ways to say the same thing. What does the math on that look like? If the interest from his investment in bonds is equal to, Lauren, what equation gives me that? Yes?
X plus Y equals something.
Close.
And there's no dirt.
That's not slope, lady.
Well, it's not the amounts though. It's not the amounts, it's the interest. Okay? So the interest earns from bonds, the interest on Z, is equal to the interest he earned from mutual funds. So what this is telling me is
12.12z equals 0.08y.
very good. The interest on the bonds is equal to the interest on the mutual funds. And once again, guys, you would have to rearrange it before it went into the matrix. But for last night, all you would have to give me is this equation, this equation, and this equation.
Oh, I did it wrong.
I did it wrong too.
I did it wrong.
This last one?
No, all of it.
Okay, good to know. We got work to do then before we get to the other part. Before we get to putting this in the calculator.
And actually doing the work.
Right. Yeah, we'll worry about how to rearrange that one later. All right, one more of these. All right, a theater. This one's a little simpler. Interest rates are confusing. Okay, theater has seating capacity for 900, and it charges one rate for children, another for students, $8 for adults. How many dimensions is this? How many dimensions is this one?
3.
3, okay. All right. So what do you think X is going to be? 4.
Money. How much?
Okay, look at the last question. How many children attended the show?
How many money?
It's
Okay.
gonna be kids.
So X is going to be the number of children, but we can't just look at that. Why?
Parents, sisters.
What we had to do, Y I'm going to say is number of students.
Okay.
Documented children.
Yes, Z is going to be number of adults.
Former children.
They are indeed former children. I don't think we can put like aging into this equation somewhere though, but you are not, I cannot say you are wrong, sir. All right, so if they sell out at a certain screening with full attendance,
We need to add it all up.
need to add it all up. Full attendance means, stay with me here guys, full attendance means the children plus the students plus the adults have to add up to the 900. That is what Lauren means when she says full attendance means you got to add it all up. All right, any questions on where that equation comes from?
No, sir.
How do you know whether to do that instead of the other one you did before that?
You mean like the interest?
Yeah. Oh, the percent.
Okay, well the percents are going to show up always on anything where they talk about stocks, bonds, mutual funds, or just interest rates. Bank, savings account. So, I mean, the short version is if you see interest in the word problem,
Okay.
you got some decimals in your future. Theater attendance, not usually, you don't usually take out a massive bank loan to buy a theater
True.
ticket. All right, you just buy it. It's a straightforward transaction.
Sure, yeah.
So, okay, how much money did they make?
5,600.
5,600 total. And they got that by charging $4 for each kid, $6 for each student, $8 for each adult. So my next relatively straightforward equation is 4x plus 6y plus 8z, and that has to add up to 5,600. All right. Any questions on where that one came from? All right, so we got a people equation and we got a money equation. Now we have that weird condition. I told you before, these word problems, they often put some weird condition in. It's really what's called contrived in a story, right? It's just to get you a third equation. And that weird condition is there were half as many adults as children and students combined. How do we turn that into algebra? It's hard.
You make an equation.
You make an equation, you're not wrong.
Oh, wait.
Okay? There is a certain resource here in the classroom we could turn to.
X plus y minus 2z equals 0.
Ah, you jump into the final equation. Give me the
Oh.
setup though.
X plus y equals 2z. What was the thing in the classroom?
Okay, you're the resource.
Oh.
All right. So I'd go back even one more step than that, Justin, to show where it comes from. Okay, there were half as many adults as students and children combined, so the number of adults equals half the number of children plus students. And then you multiply both sides by 2, and then you get to where Justin's at. But do you guys see how the words I've highlighted in blue lead to that last algebra statement?
Is it always going to be times 1/2?
No. No, there's no shortcut. I know you're looking for the pattern, right, Charles? And I love that you're looking for the pattern. The pattern is you got to read the words every time. And they're going to be different words every time. Isn't that annoying? Lizzie.
Wait. There's fractions? Wait, where'd you get the 1/2?
there were half as many adults as children and students combined.
So does,
Got that far now.
Yep.
the blue equation, does that need to have all three variables, x, y, and z?
You know, it does in this case, but it doesn't have to. Like back here, the green equation, which came from this sentence, only involved two of the
So
variables.
when you put that in your matrix calculator, the matrix thing, do you just put a 0 where you don't have one?
Ah, this is what Justin skipped ahead to. Let me show you that. When we get to the matrix calculator, let me preview this real quick. Give myself a little bit more room. Okay, the matrix calculator when we get there, Andrew, is only going to accept something x plus something y plus something z equals a number.
Okay.
So the algebra in your future is, what Justin did, I believe, is multiply both sides by 2, because that will double the z and just get rid of the 1/2. All right, now if you subtract 2z from both sides,
Right, you make it equal 0 is what you're trying to do, right?
yeah, there'll be a 0 at the end.
I get that, but what if you don't have like an x, you only have a y and a z? Or an x and a z, or something like that. Do you put a 0 in its box?
Yep, that's what I did here on this one. See how 2x equals z? When I rearranged it to 2x minus z equals 0, I had to put in a plus 0y.
Okay.
So in the matrix, you would put in 2, 0, negative 1, 0 for that row. Good question. Good question. And for this one, the final version of this, I would write it as, for the matrix, I would write that as x plus y minus 2z equals 0. All right, I think this is enough to get our missing comrade started. So I'm going to stop recording here.